AITA for not wanting to visit my parents after being kicked out? Looking for opinions on my current situation. I grew up in a well-off family with two loving parents, and I understood quickly how lucky I was. I always had a pretty good relationship with my parents as I grew up an only child. I got rather lucky out of high school and got into a career paying more than most 40-year-olds make. At 19, I was working saving money to buy a home by 23. They knew this goal and supported me. I thought I was easy to live with for the most part. I kept my areas clean. I worked nights so they had alone time a good 35 nights a week. I still took part-time college classes while working 4,550 hours a week. And I was saving lots of money and had a clear goal. Right before I turned 21, they started dropping hints about me moving out, which caught me off guard because they knew and I knew what I was doing. I recognized how lucky I was to grow up with this environment, but I was also working extremely hard to set myself up. 4,550 hours a week in a stressful job overnight. No weekends or holidays off. I was sacrificing a social life and a healthy life for this goal of buying a house. By the time I turned 21, I was being told that I need to move out in 2 months. Not really an option anymore. No clear reason why besides, it's just time. I understand they have that right, but was upset and hurt for the change with no clear reason. I was doing a lot but was still another year of saving away from being able to buy a house. Instead, I had to get an apartment alone for a year. It's expensive where I am, so with rent bills from this it's over $2,500, which isn't a huge deal with the money I make, but is really unfortunate and will set me back 23 years more in saving for a house. They were mostly supportive besides basically kicking me out of nowhere. They helped me move my stuff 15-20 minutes away. And I moved out 2 months ago. We still talk on the phone 34 days a week and everything is mostly fine, but deep down I am hurt and resentful towards them. Still respectful and grateful for everything they gave me, but not getting a reason and setting me back almost out of nowhere hurts. I don't know if it was jealousy for me doing something at this age they couldn't, or if I was insufferable without knowing it. My mom has started to invite me over for dinner or for whatever, and I usually decline even if I am not doing anything. I have gone over a few times in the last 2 months for 1,520 minutes, but never for a dinner or anything. The same happened yesterday and I declined. I get a text from my dad saying you're hurting her feelings. I feel bad, but I am also angry because it's always about them. Nobody asks me how I am doing or realizes how hurt I was. Maybe it's just too soon and I don't want to go visit them, or maybe I am just a petty asshole. I am not sure. Edit 1. I have talked to them. They know how I feel and why. My issue isn't moving out. I was more than capable of doing it and I enjoy living alone now. My problem is the guilt tripping for not wanting to visit so quickly. They helped me build a plan when I first got the job, and for them to abandon it with no clear explanation feels wrong to do to your only child, but I understand it's entirely possibly they changed their mind and wanted to live alone, which is fine. I didn't complain and moved out right away. I just want some space without feeling bad about myself. That is the main issue. Looking at my calls and texts, I realize I was downplaying how much contact they were making. I have a call from them almost every day, and invited to come over multiple times a week for the last month. I am very grateful for what they did for me. Edit 2. I want to also make it clear that I owned my own car, paid for my own food, phone, gas, insurance, trips, clothes. I paid for basically everything besides rent, which I pay now. NTA. Unless you are leaving out a lot of information. Did you hold wild parties nightly? JK. They just decided out of the blue that it was time for you to move out. That's odd. And doing that to you pushed back your well thought out plans 2 to 3 years. That's awful. I can't imagine doing that to my kids. NTA. They pushed you out before you were ready and are now trying to reel you back in before you are ready. Keeping a good distance is a good idea. Parents aren't owed your affection if they refuse to show you any. Move on. Pick up the pieces and keep low contact. NTA. Feelings are never the reason for anyone being an AH. I encourage you to be the adult they want and talk to them honestly and calmly. Well, I'm trying my hardest to get over the hurt I feel too. They need to know why you're hurting. Tell them that you felt kicked out. It has set you back years. And you are working to get over it. It's just going to take some time. Be sure to mention that you understand that they were well within their right to make the decision they made, but that doesn't change that you feel hurt by it. NTA. I get parents giving failure to launch kids a push to get them moving. But you were doing a very darn good job of adulting all on your own. With a solid plan in place around your financials, etc. That really made sense. If your parents' goal was to be rid of you at age 21, they could have communicated that so that you could have planned accordingly. You commented about possible jealousy that you have made this kind of progress more quickly than they did, and it could be that I would have been thrilled to have a child acting so responsibly and with such a good roadmap, and been glad to support that with something as low impact as the situation they had with you. They may realize that they're cold. You are 21. Get gone and go waste lots of money on rent in the worst housing market the country has seen in years. Too bad. So sad. Routine has damaged the relationship they had with you. Sadly, what is broken doesn't get fixed just because the ones who broke it decide they don't like the consequences of their actions. Just as they had the right to throw you out with so little notice, you have the right to be saddened and hurt. Take the time to settle into your independence and try to find some time for a non-parental social life. They don't get to have things be all better just because they want it that way. NTA. You need to stop calling them as much as you do. They kicked you out and now they miss you. They can change their mind about letting you live in their house, but you are an adult. That means you don't have to tell your parents anything, and you don't have to have dinner with either. If they are disappointed, too bad, so were when you moved out. If they're lonely, it's time they make new friends or get a pet. You now get to live your own life in your own place without having to worry about what your parents want. Tell your parents you will consider having dinner with them when you buy your house. Until then, it's just doesn't feel right. NTA. You have a very clear plan of what was happening in your future and was actively working towards making that happen. In today's world, if as a parent you are capable of allowing a child to live like this, well, you are giving them a huge heads up in the home ownership stakes. A parent is in a very fortunate place to facilitate a child in this way because some simply can't afford it. And the op wasn't wasting cash and living the high life on his parents' dime. I'd be pretty hurt if my parents did something like this when previously they had let me know that they were happy with what I'd planned. And quite frankly, I wouldn't be rushing back to spend time with them. Reality is that they have hurt the op and they don't get to dictate when the op forgives them. It sounds like they wanted to teach him a harsh lesson that wasn't required to be taught. All it's done is create animosity and a lack of connection. That's on them. Op is under no obligation to forgive, but I would suggest that he does forgive. Otherwise it plays on for way too long. But not to forget, or put themselves in a position when they can be hurt by his parents again. Their loss is a consequence of their choices. Honey, they may realize they made a bad call and are too embarrassed to admit it. I would bet some fool gave them advice, and they stupidly took it. They should have sat with you and had an adult discussion establishing realistic goals. Give yourself time to get past it. They have to live with the consequences of their decisions. NTA. I always hate the fly baby bird mentality because apparently it helps you not to develop a backbone whatever life throws at you, but in reality it doesn't help at all. You get unnecessary debts, unnecessary stress, totally avoidable, but they think it is okay to do it. Don't bother to pick up the phone up, they won't acknowledge that they are wrong. NTA. I would tell them you have $2,500 a month rent now and had to take on more hours if you are ever going to achieve your dream of being a homeowner and you are too tired to socialize. Maybe in a few years when the pressure lets off, you will have the time. NTA. I was also 21 when my parents asked me to move out. They did that because didn't I want to be more independent? I told them that at this moment, no. Between classes and working, I told them that for now, this is a great option for me to live at home, so close to college and work. But they were adamant, so I said okay. As my last year of college was coming up, I signed up for a program to finish it abroad. They pulled a surprised Pikachu on me when I told them I'm moving abroad and now I visit twice a year. They even offered that I stay living with them and that they regretted asking me to move. But I did it anyway. I feel like some parents have to be careful what they wish for. It's one thing to have an adult child contributing nothing and working towards nothing, and another thing for that child to have clear goals they're working towards meeting. For me, it has definitely led to some resentment. NTA. I'm sure lots of people will call you out for living at home that long rent-free, but you are just fortunate to have parents who can afford that. Getting asked to move out suddenly with no reason can certainly be confusing. Also, it's not like you don't speak to your parents, you just aren't going over often. You might be a little petty, but hey, we all are petty at times. It feels good. NTA. You said that you've explained to your parents that you're hurt that they ask you to leave 2 years before you met your goal. They'd agreed to let you stay until age 23 and then changed their minds. You didn't and aren't cussing and fussing about it. They're the ones unhappy it. They wanted you out and now you're out. Now they want visitation while you're still hurt. They don't get to have that right now. Send dad a message saying that you are still hurting. You're also now going to have to wait another 3 years to buy a house. You're working hard on your dreams and focusing on your own needs now that you have more bills. That's all part of the growing they wanted you to do. Tell dad that they have to realize that by changing their minds and asking you to leave 2 years sooner than they had agreed on, then they have to accept that you have less time for them. They'll see and talk to you less, and that these are the consequences of their decision. Tell them that you'll call them next time. Then take some time for yourself to do some healing. It'd be good for you to have some therapy to help you get the closure that your parents haven't given you. Good luck. My dad saying you're hurting her feelings, but no respect for your feelings? NTA. Info. I know they knew about that goal, but did they ever explicitly agree to housing you until you turned 23? NTA. Frankly, supporting OP's plan, abandoning it with little notice and no explanation, and now love bombing and guilting, it all sounds controlling and manipulative. Apparently OP should do exactly as they are told and only what they are told and precisely when they are told to do it. It's positively creepy. Daily phone calls with directions of what OP is required to do. Wow, that's not healthy. I don't think OP's parents ever want their only child to be anything but perfectly compliant. Ick. NTA. They unilaterally changed your relationship with them and decided you were no longer part of that household. After you spent your whole life there, you had all agreed to a timeline they decided to disregard, making this the first time they weren't the reliable and trustworthy people you could always count on. They made your life much harder and acted like nothing happened. It's okay to feel confused and hurt by how nonchalant they were in turning your life upside down. The invites must be really hurtful, too. So, you're good enough to visit, but not to live there? They get to play, come here, go away, and you have to pretend it's fine? They wanted you out. You're out. That means they no longer have the access they used to have. And you need time to adjust to your new reality. You don't have a lot of free time. And spending time in the home you just got kicked out of isn't super fun. Take as much time and space as you need. Your mother has to learn to live without you. Just like you are having to learn to live without them. She made this choice. And she has to stop making it your responsibility to make her feel better about it. You aren't just hurt, and it isn't petty or anything even if you are. What is someone who had their trust broken. You trusted your parents. And they took an action that hurt you for no stated reason. They knew it was going to hurt you and throw a wrench into the plans they were aware of and had apparently supported until suddenly they didn't. If you can, perhaps in writing if that feels easier, better. Communicate this to your parents. You love them. You appreciate the support. But then they yank that support for no reason they would explain, and so how can you trust them? You are hurt and need time. The love isn't gone, but the liking isn't there right now. And you need time to heal from them hurting you and essentially saying, we don't care if this hurts you. We are doing it anyway. NTA. I don't understand parents who have kids but only want to be parents for a limited time. In my mind, once you are a parent, it's for life. And you want to give your kids the best start at life. Like when the kids need to live with you to save money for a down payment. I know I'll probably get downvoted for this info. What do you do? Just curious. NTA. They are well within their rights to ask you to leave their house without any other reason than they want you to. Which is basically what has happened as the "we want you to grow" is complete BS. But they have to also accept their decision has consequences. You are well within your rights to feel upset, mad, let down, and even resentful of being essentially blind sides. Dropping mild hints is not giving you advance notice. Personally, this is what I would do. 1. Keep your phone calls short and to once a week. 2. Only visit them once every other month for a quick chat and drink. 3. Invite them over to yours or to a coffee shop every alternative month for a quick catch-up and drink. Point 4. Your reasoning each time for being busy, by phone or text, is that your time is being spent growing as a person. 5. If you get another hurt feeling text, then just respond with, "Sorry, can't be helped. This is not my intention, but as you know, I am also feeling the same way. Good luck with everything up, and don't back down unless you receive a decent, honest explanation. You need to grow is total BS and they know it. And an apology for the 2 months notice and hurting your feelings. NTA. Your parents did you dirty. They actually helped you make your plan to buy a house. Then backpedaled and decided they didn't want you to live there anymore once you were 21. I think now they feel sort of guilty because they know they're in the wrong but don't want to admit it to you. I think you all need to sit down and have a long talk to clear the air. Ask them directly why they decided to kick you out at least a full year before you had saved up enough money for a house. And if they don't give an answer or their answer is flimsy, then they probably strung you along for the last few years knowing they were going to kick you out at 21, which is double dirty in my book.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. AmITheAsshole is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.